They always said there's no room for your kids, yet my sister's twins and their dog always fit. I stayed quiet for years, but after I bought a New York penthouse, they suddenly said, "We're moving in." My response: can you truly imagine being told, season after season, year after year, holiday after holiday, there's simply no room for your children? Not at the dinner table, not in the guest room, not even a fleeting moment inside the house. My family, it seemed, had honed the brutal art of exclusion into a cruel performance. But what happens, I often wondered, when a quiet, reliable one finally carves out a space of his own, only to find they are the ones with no room left. My name is Michael. I'm 35, a divorced dad to two incredible kids, Jonah, 9, and 6-year-old Ava. My life, externally, is pretty normal, maybe a little too meticulously organized for a single father. I navigate the front desk of a midtown hotel, a role that's essentially a masterclass in emotional labor. I've learned to de-escalate furious brides, to magically extract gum from any carpet, and to project warmth with my eyes when my face is too exhausted to manage a genuine smile. I'm the steady presence people come to with their problems, and I make them feel seen, not small. That's my work, my skill. At home, my world shrinks to a small, clean life in Queens. Cereal boxes stand like disciplined soldiers, and the laundry basket seems to possess an endless appetite. My ex, Tasha, and I aren't best friends, but we forge a rock-solid team for our kids. We exchange polite texts, swap responsibilities seamlessly. We make it work. I'm not the charming one, you see, not like my sister Lily. My mom often calls me reliable, delivered with the same lukewarm tone she'd used to describe a functional vacuum cleaner. Lily, though, she's the glitter-encrusted version of me. Big laughs, even bigger ideas. She has 5-year-old twins, Theo and Piper, and a golden doodle named Mocha, who sheds like a literal snow globe exploded. Mom calls Lily our star. My dad, he calls me steady, usually right before asking me to carry something heavy. And for years, every single holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, the 4th of July, it was the same cutting sentence, delivered with a soft smile that somehow made the sting even sharper. There's no room for your kids. Always a fresh excuse, but the same heartbreaking message. The basement was overflowing with donations. The guest room was meticulously prepared for Lily's twins. Mocha, the dog, needed a quiet sanctuary. Yet, somehow, there was always ample space for Lily, her twins, and that perpetually shedding dog. Mocha even received a Christmas stocking one year. My kids? They got a hurried hug on the porch and a to-go plate. A to-go plate. I swallowed it down just as I always did. I rationalized it as mere logistics. I'd say, we'll just stop by early. I'd pack coloring books, keep the car engine running for warmth, and take photos of my children in the driveway, because the living room was already perfectly staged for their family. I kept telling myself, next year will be different. But next year never quite arrived. Then this spring, something irrevocably shifted. I got a promotion. Nothing blockbuster, just a welcome bump in pay, a bonus, and suddenly, the chance to move closer to work. And I found this place. The first time I stepped inside, it barely felt real. A top-floor duplex in a venerable old building, finally infused with love and careful restoration. People called it a penthouse. I called it sunlight. 2 balconies, a private slice of urban sky, enough room for bunk beds, a dining table that didn't wobble. I signed the papers on a Tuesday, sat on the floor with Chinese takeout, and just watched the city lights blink around me. It was magic. I sent one discreet photo to the family chat. Mom went wild with 20 exclamation points. Dad sent a simple, "Proud of you, son." And then Lily, my sister, typed, "OMG," immediately followed by, "We're packing our things right now." That old familiar knot of dread twisted in my stomach. And then, strangely, it loosened. I put my chopsticks down, slowly, deliberately, and typed back, "This isn't a hotel. We're not doing that." But this no-room narrative, it didn't begin with the apartment. It began years ago, with a kind of space that was simply never meant for us. The very first year I brought Jonah, As a baby, Mom called. Just stop by for hugs, honey. Total chaos with the twins. You know how it is. We showed up to find two high chairs at the table, place cards perfectly set for Theo and Piper. I ended up bouncing baby Jonah on my knee in the hallway, right next to the utility closet, while Lily just giggled. Oh, we totally forgot your little guy needs to sit, too. My dad, ever the peacemaker, just said, we'll make do. And then, of course, Mocha the dog jumped onto his lap, and nobody moved the dog. The next Christmas, Mom called a week before. Full house, sweetheart. Come at 8 for coffee. Presents are at 10 o'clock. We left at 9:30. Through the window, I could see the sparkling tree, the twins in their matching pajamas. I told Jonah we'd do gifts at home. Thankfully, he was too little to understand. The excuses always mutated. The basement's mid-renovation. Your kids don't sleep well in new places. The twins are on a strict routine. The painful truth, however, was simple. The available room in our family was a moral compass that consistently pointed to Lily. I tried to be okay with it. I told myself that conflict would cost more than my feelings. I chose quiet because quiet felt lighter to carry. I told myself it wasn't personal. But then Jonah, my sweet son, would ask, why can't we sleep at Grandma's? And I'd just say, we'll have our own fun, pretending I didn't hear his cousins yelling with delight from inside the house, or see Mocha, the dog, wearing a little Christmas scarf. And it wasn't just space, it was money. Always these subtle incursions. Lily's texts would arrive like cheerful invoices. Can you grab the twins' robotics kit? I'll pay you back Friday. $119. It never came. The sitter canceled. Can you cover the deposit for the backup? You're a lifesaver. $75. Theo's inhaler copay is ridiculously high. Love you. $62. The amounts weren't huge individually, but they accumulated. Mom's version was always softer. Oh, don't worry your sister right now, sweetheart. They're juggling so much. You know how kids are. Dad's version was the old-school mantra. Family helps. My version? My bank app at midnight and a spreadsheet I named Lily U that I kept for 3 months before I had to close it. It just made me too angry to look at. At work, I was literally the person who ensured everyone felt welcome. Of course, we have space. Absolutely. Let me see what I can do. I'd comp upgrades. I'd pull rooms out of thin air. I accidentally carried that skill into my family life. I'd move things around inside myself, stretch myself thin until everyone fit except me. It looked like generosity from the outside, but on the inside, it was pure erosion. Slowly, quietly, it was wearing me down. The worst scenes were always the small ones, the insidious moments that chipped away at you. Easter. Jonah walks in, so proud, holding a single dyed egg in a paper cup. Mom takes it, smiles, and sets it on a side table behind a lamp where no one would ever see it. The twins made 12, she says, as if that explained the laws of physics. Thanksgiving. Ava, my little girl, sat on the floor with her plate because there was no seat for her. And Dad, bless his heart, actually said, well, she's young. Gravity works differently at 6. Meanwhile, Lily taped Mocha's art, a golden paw print, onto the fridge, laughing when I noticed it. He's family, she chirped. I tried to raise the topic once, calmly. I presented the facts. We drive an hour. We come early. We leave before dinner. It's hard. Mom sighed dramatically. Oh, Michael, you're making everything so heavy. Lily chimed in. Don't guilt-trip me just because your kids are high energy. They're children, I said, exasperated. Exactly, she replied, still smiling. It was maddening. I even attempted to set small, logical boundaries. Please ask before you use my Amazon account. Please don't add my card to Instacart. Please don't send me Venmo requests with no explanation. Lily would reply with a string of thumbs-up emojis and then promptly do all 3, sometimes in the same day. Once I saw a delivery tip for an address that wasn't even mine. It was an accident, she'd say. It kept being an accident. So why didn't I just blow up? Because blowing up would be the story, and I would instantly become the villain. My mother has this unique way of holding her breath that makes you feel like you've just shattered something incredibly fragile and expensive. I learned to make repairs before the break even happened. So when the penthouse deal closed, I didn't announce it. I let the contract be signed, felt the cool metal of the keys in my palm, and felt the blood finally rush back into my face. I walked through those empty rooms, picturing Jonah and Ava actually living there, sleeping in their own beds, eating breakfast at a wobble-free table, leaving their socks in places that would annoy me, but it would be my annoyance. I put my hand on the balcony rail and imagined telling Jonah, "Yes, we live here." And I thought very quietly to myself, "Mine." I sent them a photo because I didn't trust my voice not to crack. And the photo, of course, did what photos do. It invited a story I absolutely did not write. Lily typed, "We're packing our things right now." Not a question. Not, "Can we stay a weekend?" Not, "Can we come see?" It was a declaration wrapped in confetti and pure assumption. The old me, the old Michael, would have immediately started moving furniture in my head, making lists, choosing sheets, rinsing out a dog bowl. But the new me pictured my kids' bunk beds, their space, and I saw absolutely no room for somebody else's permanent maybe. I work a hotel, right? I know exactly how fast one night becomes. We'll find something next week. I've seen guests turn amenities into absolute entitlement. I've watched people decide a space is theirs just because they like how it felt. I've learned the only sentence that matters when you carry the keys to a place. Here are the policies. And I finally needed one for my own life. So I typed, "This isn't a hotel. We're not doing that." And for the first time in my family, my voice, even through a text message, sounded exactly like me. The call came almost immediately before my phone even hit the table. "Lily, haha, you're funny, Michael. When should we bring the playpen?" Me, "You shouldn't." Lily, completely unfazed, "Oh, come on. We can use the second bedroom. The twins don't mind sharing. I'll just put Mocha's bed by the balcony. He loves fresh air." Me, "There is no Mocha bed here." A beat of silence, then pure offense. Lily, "You're serious?" Michael, "We're family." Me, "Exactly why I'm telling you the truth." I could almost hear her brain whirring, trying to decide which strategy to deploy. She went with pity. "Lily, our landlord is impossible. We just need a landing pad. A month tops." Me, "I can host dinners, Lily. Not entire households." Lily, "You're punishing me for mom's rules, aren't you? This is about the holidays." Me, "This is about my home." Suddenly, Mom clicked in like she'd been waiting behind a curtain the whole time. "Mom, Michael." Me, "Hi, Mom." "Mom, I'm hearing you're refusing to help." Me, in my calmest, most practiced front desk voice, the one that makes drunk guests hand over their room keys, "I'm stating a boundary." "Mom, boundaries are so trendy," she said, as if they were a pair of ridiculous boots. Me, "They're also real." "Mom, but you have space," she insisted, bright and reasonable. "We don't. It's simple math." Me, "It's my space. That's the math." "Mom, we've always made room for Lily's family because they have more moving parts." Me, "I have two moving parts, Mom. They're called children." "Mom, your kids are loud at night," she said gently, but with a clear undertone. "The twins sleep like angels." Me, "Mocha barks at air." I shot back. "And we keep pretending that's adorable." "Mom, don't be cruel." She said the word like a physical slap. Me, "I'm being clear." Then Dad clicked on. Late to the party as usual. "What's all this?" he asked, like he'd walked into a movie after the good part. Mom, turning the volume up on martyrdom. "Your son bought a penthouse and doesn't want us in it." Me, "It's an apartment, Mom, and I don't want you living in it." Lily's voice sharpened. "We helped you, Michael." Me, "How?" Lily, "Support me. We babysat twice last year." Me, "And I sent you $1,200 since January." I blurted before I could stop myself. "Receipts on request." Mom gasped, a sharp intake of breath like I just cursed. "No one is shifting blame," she said. Translation, "You told the truth out loud." Lily quickly pivoted. "Fine. Not permanent. Just Thanksgiving. We'll host it at yours. It'll make up for everything." Me, "No." Mom, "Non-negotiable." She floated the words like trying to lift me with balloons. Me, "It's entirely negotiable, and I'm saying no because you want revenge for all the no-room years." I looked at the empty wall where a clock would eventually go. I pictured Jonah and Ava, their little backpacks, the way they run into a new room like it owes them nothing and everything at once. This isn't about revenge, I said, my voice steady now. It's about closure and boundaries. Dad, always the one for a deadline. Family helps. Me, family also respects. Lily sighed dramatically. You're going to regret this. Me, I'm going to assemble bunk beds. Mom's voice dropped low. A final threat. Michael, if you shut us out, don't expect us to show up when you need us. I thought about the porch hugs, the to-go plates, the dog stockings. I thought about the last time show up meant more than a caption on social media. Me, I won't, I said, and I ended the call. My hands shook the way they do after a truly difficult guest finally leaves the front desk. My heart banged against my ribs like a bad checkout. I sat on the floor and let it all happen. Then slowly I stood up, grabbed the hex key, and finished those bunk beds. I put Jonah's blue blanket on the top bunk, Ava's unicorn pillow on the bottom. I texted a photo to Tasha. She wrote, "Looks like a home." I wrote back, "It will be." That first week after the call, it was a constant chorus of guilt, threats, frantic logistics, and then back to guilt. I kept my phone on silent, only answering when I had the actual bandwidth. Mom, your grandmother asked why you're excluding family traditions. Me, we're creating our own. Mom, you sound cold. Me, I sound clear. Lily, can you at least store a few boxes until January? Me, no storage. Lily, we'll pay you. Me, no. Dad, your mother is upset. Me, I know. At work, I started practicing my yes elsewhere. Yes, we could get you a late checkout. Yes, I'll print your boarding pass. Yes, we'll bring extra towels. It felt good to be generous in a place that was built for it. Coming home to a door I'd locked, a rule I'd kept, felt like rinsing my brain clean. Then, when the twins' lease actually ended, Lily pushed even harder. Just 2 nights, Michael, while the movers figure out the truck. I offered her a hotel discount code. She called me corporate and showed up anyway with a carload, a freaking Peloton, and 6 Rubbermaid bins. The doorman called. "Sir, a delivery is insisting it belongs to you." I went downstairs. There she was, Lily, in full athleisure. The twins climbing a stack of boxes. Mocha in a bandana, that ridiculous city dog. Lily, don't be dramatic, Michael. It's temporary. Me, you ignored me. Lily, because you're being unreasonable. I turned to the doorman. It's not mine. Lily, her eyes suddenly wet. You're really going to do this? Me, I already did. People watched. That's the worst part about boundaries, the audience. But no one booed. A man held the door and pretended to check his mail for an incredibly long time. The twins just looked confused. Mocha tried to lick a sign about no animals without registration. It was almost funny. Lily called Mom on speaker. He's refusing to help. Mom, of course. Michael, compromise. Me, 1 suitcase each for 2 nights. That's the compromise. You brought a gym. Eventually, Lily's friend with a van came. They left angry. And you know what? Anger is a lot easier to carry than boxes. That first weekend with Jonah and Ava in the new place, we did everything wrong, and it was absolutely perfect. We ate pizza on the floor. We let a cartoon play 5 episodes in a row. We made hot cocoa way too sweet. I showed them the view, and Jonah pressed his forehead against the glass. "Is this all ours?" he whispered. "It is when you're here," I told him. Ava piped up, "Even the sky?" I said, "Borrowed like a library book." She accepted that. Sunday night, they slept like butter. I sat on the balcony, letting the city noise wash over me. Someone was playing a trumpet badly nearby. It sounded like trying. Then the holiday planning messages started again. "Mom, so, Thanksgiving at your place. I'll bring the turkey. Lily will handle sides. You just make space." I typed no. "Mom, we already told the twins." Me, tell them plans changed. Lily, we're doing it there. You'll thank us later. I wrote, "If you show up with food or a dog, you won't get upstairs." She wrote back, "You're not serious." I sent a screenshot of the building's pet policy. She replied, "Wow." On Thanksgiving morning, the doorman rang. "Mr. Rivera, there's a family here with a dog and many pies." I went down. Mom held a casserole dish like a peace treaty. Lily carried a roast pan like a threat. The twins were bouncing with excitement. Mocha wore tiny boots. Surprise! Mom chirped. Me? No. I said we're not doing this. Mom, don't make a scene. Me? I'm preventing one. Mom, nodding towards the twins behind her like they were props. The kids will be crushed. I crouched down to their eye level. Hey guys, Saturday, 11 a.m. The big park with the dinosaur bones. Hot chocolate. Deal. They nodded because kids are resilient when adults stop using them as levers. I stood up, looked at Mom, at Lily, at the dog's boots. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you Saturday. Upstairs, we ate chicken. Turkey felt like too much bird for three. Jonah said the bubbles in the seltzer made it feel like a party. Ava spilled cranberry sauce and cried, thinking she'd ruined the carpet. It's a rug, honey, I said, holding her close. We clean rugs. We clean this rug. We watched the parade replay on my phone, making a game out of judging floats like we're experts. It was stupid and perfect. Mom's social media captions that day were all about gratitude, of course. No mention of conflict, no video of the lobby showdown. That's how family PR works. It used to bother me, but this time it just rolled off me. My kids were licking whipped cream off spoons, and my sink had one pan in it, not 20 dishes I'd be washing while everyone said thank you around me. December brought a fresh wave of asks, always dressed up as traditions. Cookie exchange at yours. Twin caroling party on your balcony. Absolutely not. Mocha hates fireworks. Can we use your place on New Year's so he feels calm? My internal monologue was, the dog can meditate. My actual typed reply was simply no. The pushback, of course, came in standard issue phrases. You've changed. Money went to your head. We missed the old Michael. The old Michael was always available. The old Michael said yes, and then just found a way to survive it. The new Michael said no, and then he sat in that discomfort until it turned into thin air. Tasha, my ex, even noticed. She dropped the kids off one Sunday, looked around the apartment, and whistled. Nice space, she said. You look quiet in your face. I laughed. I finally installed a lock on my life, I told her. She high-fived me like we were still good at that. Work started to bleed into home less and less. I stopped mentally checking people, and every time my phone buzzed, I even drew a stupid little sign for the kitchen, house rules, in my block handwriting and taped it inside a cabinet where only we'd see it. Bedtime is a promise we keep. We eat at the table or the balcony, not in a rush. We don't apologize for taking up space here. We don't host surprises. The kids, in their infinite wisdom, added one in marker, no yelling. I didn't argue. A week before Christmas, Mom tried the soft approach again. We got the twins a train set, Michael. They want to share with Jonah. We'll come to you Saturday. I said, we'll bring Coco and we'll stop by your place after. She tried. We won't stay. We'll see. I said we didn't. On Christmas morning, we did something truly wild. We did nothing. The kids and I stayed in our pajamas. Pancakes, oranges, wrapping paper stuck to our socks. We FaceTimed Grandma at noon. She panned her camera across a ridiculously busy living room. Lily's kids building a train across 3 rugs. Mocha wearing antlers. Mom's voice came through. We wish you were here, Michael. I just said, we're good. Jonah leaned into the camera, beaming. We got a view, he announced. Ava yelled, we got a balcony. Then they ran off mid-call because that's what free kids do. Mom looked at me like I'd picked the wrong team. I looked back like I'd finally found mine. The invoices? Oh, they tried to boomerang. Lily sent a note about shared holiday expenses. My reply, we didn't share a holiday. She sent a photo of a receipt anyway. I sent back a thumbs-up emoji and nothing else. If silence could be a locked door, that's exactly what it was. By January, the dust had quietly settled in the most wonderfully boring ways. Lily found a bigger rental. Mom started a new hobby group and posted crafting photos online like a truce. Dad texted me about the Knicks. The twins eventually asked if Jonah could come to their birthday at a trampoline park. We said yes. They asked if Mocha could visit my place just to see the view. We said no. They survived. The nicest thing, the thing I truly didn't expect, my home became easy. It stopped being a symbol of battle and transformed into a place where someone leaves a sock under the couch. And 2 days later, you find it and laugh instead of sigh. Jonah built a Lego city on the coffee table, and Ava named it Yes Town. I taped their drawings to the fridge, and I stopped straightening them every time I walked by. Even the basil plant on the balcony lived. I stood out there one night listening to a siren rise and fall and felt honestly, deeply grateful that I could finally choose when to open my door. Here's what I learned, written plain so I never forget. A boundary is not revenge. It's a home policy. I work in hospitality, and hospitality without policy turns into harm. Welcome is not the same as take whatever you want. The front desk taught me that much. My family, they taught me the rest. I don't need them to agree to make my no valid. I don't need to audit the past to justify the present. The past is obvious if you've lived it. No room for your kids was a door slammed in my face, disguised as a paper wreath. And for years, I just kept knocking. Anyway, this year I stopped knocking. I used my own key somewhere else. I sent one final email in January. Not a manifesto, just a simple memo titled, Going Forward. My apartment is not storage, a crash pad, or a pet sitting service. Visits are planned, short, and on my calendar. Surprises turn into a no. No one uses my address or my accounts without written permission. If an event excludes my kids, I won't attend. I finished with no drama. That's the boundary. Love is not measured in square feet or dog boots. Mom wrote back, understood, with a period that felt like a sigh. Lily replied, "You're so corporate." And then a week later, she actually asked if I could look over her new lease. I did. I highlighted 3 lines and wrote, "Don't sign until they fix these." She sent back 3 heart emojis and a thank you. I realized I am not a villain in her story. I'm a person with a spine. And those 2 things, they can absolutely coexist. Last weekend, we all met at the park. The twins and my 2 kids ran until gravity eventually negotiated with them. Mocha wore a ridiculous sweater, which I completely ignored. Mom handed me a thermos, almost like a peace offering. "You look good," she said. "You sound rested." I just smiled. "I am," I said. We watched the kids invent a game with rules that changed every minute, and nobody cried. That honestly felt like a forecast for something better. I walked home with Jonah on one side and Ava skipping on the other. We stopped for bagels. We climbed the stairs. I opened our door. The air inside smelled like cinnamon and warm dust. Jonah immediately yelled, "Yes, town," and dumped Legos back into their world. Ava dragged her stool to the kitchen to help me stir nothing in particular. My phone buzzed with a family chat. Lily posted a photo of her new place, writing finally, space. Mom wrote, "See, it all works out." Dad wrote, "Game on" at 7 o'clock. I put the phone face down and turned on the kettle. If you're wondering what I wrote back to that first message, the one after I sent the skyline photo, the one where Lily declared, "We're packing our things right now." It was 5 words. This isn't a hotel. More than just words, it was a declaration. I didn't slam a door. I closed it gently, and then I locked it, because that's what you do when you finally live inside the life you pay for, care for, and cook in. I'm still reliable. I'm still kind. I'm just not a lobby anymore. And there is so much room here. So much room for my kids, for our noise, for our small, ordinary holidays where nobody asks us to be quiet in our own house. For a basil plant that absolutely refuses to die. For me, on a balcony, breathing like a man who finally decided the welcome sign on his front door belongs to him. Have you ever had to draw a really hard line with your family or anyone you love? What happened? How did it feel? Tell me your stories in the comments below. I'd really love to hear.